Mute it, mute it.
You're just gonna
Press the mic.
Take a while.
give us a mic and then muted it.
No, I make the
I
image.
can't figure out how to do it.
But didn't they do that? They did that for the most recent presidential election.
Where they muted them?
Yeah, because they kept on interrupting each other.
Well, I tried to read the transcript this morning to see what questions there were, and my head was spinning just from reading the transcript. Because it was like Biden 1 word, Trump 3 words, then Biden, and then Wallace, who's the moderator, would try to
No,
chime
do
in.
11.
F11.
Adam, you're gonna park and you're gonna blow him out of the water.
I'm gonna blow him.
Get the American flag out.
This man is a communist. Arrest him. Woo!
All
I
right,
support Space Force.
good afternoon, everybody. Welcome
Force.
to our actually one and only and final general election debate between former President James Tarsky and current Vice President Cameron Harrison. For this debate, we will be focusing on domestic policy questions first, followed by foreign policy questions. We will begin with each side getting 2 minutes for opening statements. For each question, we will alternate who gets the first question. You will have 1 minute to respond. Following both candidates' answers, you will be allowed a 30-second rebuttal. Any questions? All right.
Let's get started.
Jolly.
All right, we will begin with you, Mr. President, with your opening statements.
Good evening, everybody. My name is James Tarsky, and I'm the Republican presidential candidate for your 2024 election. First of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming to this wonderful debate. And you watching the video, thank you for watching this. For your decision affects not only our country, but others. And I believe that if you all elect me, I will make sure to welcome every single person with open arms into new possibilities and make sure that every single American citizen or not are welcome in this country and are given wonderful opportunities. Thank you.
Mr. Vice President.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cameron Harrison. I am the current Vice President of the United States, and I'm running with the Democrat Party. I'm so excited to be speaking here in front of all of you and those watching at home, and I'm very excited to be speaking next to you, former President Tarskin.
Stop.
Just to get this in your minds, some of my key points are the environment, abortion, and immigration policy. I appreciate you all spending your evening here with me. And let's get this rolling. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. This first series of questions will be focused on domestic policy. And I think for starters, we'll begin with you, Vice President. And the question is, what makes you stand out from former President Tarskin as a candidate for the presidential election?
For the presidential election, I feel like I stand out because I am ready to help you. I'm ready to help get you the help that you deserve. Whether that's getting your right to have an abortion back, whether that is getting you the higher pay you deserve. I am ready to help you and to help America. Thank you.
Mr. President, same question.
All right. First off, wonderful words, per usual. Speaking of that, I feel that my experience from my past presidency has given me enough qualifications for me to be able to have the knowledge and the right mindset to go into this position again. Just because I didn't get it the next consecutive year doesn't mean I'm still not qualified. I still remember many of the skills I've learned with my time in office. And I definitely hope all of you can make the right decision.
Alright, so So this question is going to be for Mr. Toscan. Why should the independents vote for you?
Although you could say a marginalized group, independent voters are still very important because in the end of the day, they still are American citizens after all. I definitely think even though independents might have more of a central view, it's not too difficult to see that what an independent voter needs is someone who's strong about their views, but still is able to be swayed. But that said, I still will have my strong views about certain topics. But independent voters, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the polls.
All right, same question to you as well.
I think I would be good for the independent voters because former President Tarskin has very strong right-leaning views. While I do have left-leaning views for many topics, I do not tend to have very strong leaning views. And I do hope, like I stated earlier, that I can help America and help all the people to get them what they need. Thank you.
All right, we're going to speak a little bit about energy. And to begin with, just want to ask you the question, beginning with you, Vice President. Do you think when we talk about the United States energy, do we think this is more of an environmental, an economic, or a national security issue?
I feel that it really is all those issues. Because if we just focus all of our energy, see what I did there?
That's fine.
All of our energy in one
I laugh.
topic, we won't be able to help solve all those problems. So if we only focus on the economy factor, then we still won't be able to help our environment. So I feel that all those points are important and that we should be looking into all of them and not just one.
I also agree with these statements because the main thing I do want to hammer on, especially though, is environmental and economic. For I definitely feel that solar energy or any other alternative energies other from the side of coal burning, which is quite frankly somewhat outdated, we could still strive to search for other solutions such as nuclear fission, solar panels, wind turbines, and whatnot. With that said, I think moving to these alternative sources could help our economy and our environment as well. And I think we should definitely try to strive for that, especially the innovation of electric cars.
All right, Mr. Toscan, this question is going to be a conceptual question. Let's say, for example, labor unions are under attack by someone on the right that they want to take away collective bargaining rights. Where do you stand on this issue? That's my first question.
Okay. Where I stand is, frankly, labor unions, I get their point and I get their views, and I'm all for having a nice, good work environment, for work is what makes and builds America. But definitely, I think where I would start to step in is when it could affect more than just a select group of people. If it starts to affect much more people, and if it starts to affect people that have nearly no relation to what the labor union is fighting against, such as citizens being having a shortage of supplies and other necessities because of those said labor unions. I feel like I would definitely need especially in-person step in, talk, discuss with all parties, and see how we can come to a nice resolution without any other conflicts.
And the second question is, it's pertaining to the first one. Are you going to support the right to collectively bargain by the unions and for the unions?
You know, no, I think, I support it. I support it. For labor unions are helpful sometimes. We do need to keep little checks on them to make sure they are not actually affecting our economy. But I do support this in a way.
All right, thank you. Same question to you as well.
Could you restate the first question?
So the first question is based on the conceptual example. So labor unions have been under attack by someone on the right that want to take away collective bargaining rights. Where do you stand on the issue? Collective bargaining rights. That's it.
Thank you. I feel that as Americans, we have the right to work in an environment that we feel comfortable with. But at the same time, I think it's only right for us to be a part of a union that protects our working rights so that we can become great workers to help our great economy. With my time talking with elected educators everywhere, I've seen several of the benefits of unions and how they can help grow the workplace environment and the economy.
And the second question is, it's a final and pertaining to the first one. Will you support the right to collectively bargain rights?
Of course, like I stated, I think everyone has the right to be a part of their labor union and get the help that they deserve to make their workplace as best as possible. So I think it's only right for them to fight to make it best that they can.
All right, next question, we will begin with you, Vice President. What is your view on women's rights and how will you further support women's rights?
When it comes to women's rights, I think that they definitely need our support, and there's much work that needs to be done there. The biggest thing that I view is that women should have the right to have an abortion under any circumstances, not even medically or rape related. I think every woman should have the right to have an abortion, as it is their body and therefore their choice on what to do with it. Thank you.
I think it's nothing more than just common sense that, of course, we need to make sure our American citizens, especially women, have the same amount of opportunities and rights that other people have. With this, based off what Vice President said, I think abortions should be, so if they're illegal or not, in certain circumstances, should be decided by the states, frankly, because each state has their own situation, and I definitely feel that this will make the best turnout for our country, because if we are to deal the whole U.S. government to deal with abortion, this is a very touchy topic for some people, and I definitely feel states have more priority to deal with that.
President Taruskin, if you were to have to suggest to the states, what would you suggest that they make their abortion policy be?
Quite frankly, I would say that this might come out of the blue, but I say that abortions in if not given a good cause, such as rape or other heinous crimes, it should be illegal, for every life is precious.
All right. This is going to be the last question for the domestic policy questions. What do you feel about the gun rights Mr. Toskin. And next question is, should everyone have the right to carry guns or at least have guns in their homes for self-protection?
I definitely feel that it is my role as the Republican-elect to be very supportive of guns. And personally, the right to bear arms has always been a pleasure of mine. Before I was rudely interrupted, I definitely feel that many Americans love their possession. But I do feel that there are strides we can make to make sure they're being used safely in the right hands. But definitely, I say just outlawing guns and all is crazy. Personally, I would say that we still need to have the right to bear arms, for it is part of our Bill of Rights.
All right, same question to you as well.
I feel that it would be truly crazy to just try to get rid of the Second Amendment. No guns. That would never work. Nothing would get done there. There'd be chaos. And I do understand why people do like to have the option to have a gun to make them feel more protected. I do understand that. But I do feel like there should be more done. I feel like stronger background checks should be in order for people who are looking to buy a gun. And I do feel like we need to look into what types of guns are being purchased and for the reason that they're doing so. Thank you.
All right, for the second segment of our debate, we are going to focus on foreign policy questions. I will begin with you, Mr. President. Since 2003, our country has almost perpetually been at war and has cost us roughly $6 trillion combating terrorism around the world. What will be your policy of engaging our troops in foreign conflicts around the world? In other words, when or under what circumstances would you deploy our military?
I would say for when we should start to take action. Well, first things first. We need to take care of already situations that are already going on, such as Iraq. I definitely think we should start making peace treaties with those respective countries, especially around them, around Iraq and those conflicted areas. And then I would also say that for military intervention, we should first start to sit down and discuss, especially with the United Nations. I definitely think the United Nations could be an upper hand for us, especially NATO, in referring to recent Ukraine and Russia conflicts. So we should first try to start as a group, especially with NATO or the United Nations, and go from there. And let's just assess the situation and do what we have to do to keep other people safe and ourselves safe.
Thank you. Vice President Harrison, same question.
I think we should use a system similar to the one that we used during the Second World War, where we do not send our troops over to an area of conflict till we, as a country, are attacked, whether it is the threat of an attack or a physical attacking like what happened during 9/11. I feel that we shouldn't just jump right into any circumstance and risk the lives of men and women without knowing that it's a just cause first. Thank you.
All right. This question is going to be pertaining to the
Vice President
Vice President. Yes, thank you. What do you feel about free trade around the world, implementation of free trade around the world?
I think free trade is a good policy that does help get goods and services to other nations and our nation as a whole. I think it is very good for our economy, especially when we're able to trade our wonderful American-made goods to other nations around the world. I know several nations love the use of our vehicles and our trucks that we build in the United States, and I think we should make sure it's easy for us to give them the trade that we need so we can help boost our economy.
Same question to you as well, Mr. Thompson.
All right. Free trade is probably one of my favorite things about globalization and what the wonderful U.S. can do for not only ourselves but other people. Free trade is, I would say, a necessity in our economy since so much of us rely on it. You could say this computer, mostly made from China. This desk, probably made from Taiwan. That water bottle, probably made in the U.S., but with materials from China or other countries. Something else I would like to say specifically is for the automobile industry, for there has been very strange and sudden occurrences in used car prices spiking. So with this, I would say, especially Japanese car brands, for they have great alternatives for normal big SUVs with smaller cars that more people can afford. So I say the 15-year ban on the 15-year gap of Japanese cars coming to the U.S., I say we should get rid of that, frankly, because we should keep in mind that globalization helps not only our economy in general, but especially our automobiles.
President Tarskin, are you suggesting that people should not be buying American-made cars?
What I'm saying is, I say it's everybody's free right of choice. And I say, especially with Japan, we have good ties with them. We're good pals. And I say their cars are frankly fantastic. And I definitely think with this, we should also start increasing our production and our influence on them in a respective manner, of course. But I still believe that our American vehicles are great, but especially Japanese with their wonderful fuel economy and their safety.
Okay, next question has to do with China. When reflecting on China, would you consider China a rival of ours, a partner of ours, both a rival and a partner, or something else altogether? Begin with you, President Tarskin.
All right. I say, as before with globalization, China is very helpful in making our goods with many of our items being from China or have materials from China. But personally, I would say we would have to keep neutral grounds with them. We would always have to maybe keep a close eye because although we are past Cold War, the CCP doesn't currently pose a threat, but sometimes we need to look into their values and their human rights acts and just make sure to monitor what they're doing. So I wouldn't say a direct enemy such as North Korea, or we should be posing war on them or be afraid of them, as a matter of fact. But I say we just make sure we're on good terms, but also make sure we try to keep them in check with their values.
President Harrison, same question.
Like you brought up, I think I'd see them as somewhere in between an enemy and a trading partner. I do think that they do a good job of producing lower quality goods that we don't want to spend our time making in the United States with our more skilled laborers. And those are better products that we can't just get cheaper from over there. But I do also, like President Tarskin did say, I do feel like we need to keep a watchful eye under them. They tend to do things like the human rights violations, like they've done with the camps that they have on like the western side of their nation, along with lots of their security practices, whether it's with things that are in the United States, like apps like TikTok. So I do feel like we need to keep a watchful eye on them to see what they are doing.
All right, this is going to be the last question for the whole debate. Recent elections have seen a massive uptick of foreign governments interfering in the public discourse that helps shaping the voting decisions. How will you defend our democracy from foreign interference?
I say with this, the main concern is definitely misinformation. With that said, I say, well, America is built upon freedom of speech. Other countries are allowed to say what they have to say. That also doesn't restrict us as well. But when it comes to trying to directly influence voters, that would start to raise up some questions, especially if they try to pose as a certain representative or a certain group or demographic. If they start to try to act like that and send out news articles about this president is bad, here's why, just for their own personal growth, that is definitely a concern. So we could definitely have our own special team of media specialists and foreign relations people to make sure we are checking on our foreign countries to make sure they're not affecting our wonderful democracy.
Same question to Mr. Harrison.
Thank you. I do feel like with the influx of lots of the modern social media platforms, it is very crucial that our American people do keep a watchful eye on if they are getting the correct information from the sources. And I encourage all of you to just double check the sources that you look into and make sure it is something that you trust. Ask your friends or your neighbors, or just do a little research on your own. Additionally, I would always make sure to try to speak as directly as possible to the American people through different mediums so that they can get the information from me in the best way possible.
Thank you both. The final segment of our debate is our closing statements. President Tarskin, since you spoke first with your opening statement, we will begin with you, Mr. Vice President.
All right, I would just like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I especially want to thank all the people who have supported me along the way with my wonderful campaign team, the Democrat Party. Additionally, the groups such as PETA, the NARAL, Elect Educators Anywhere, and the American Jewish Congress. Thank you. I also am very happy that I did get the opportunity to speak next to former President Tarskin, and I wish you all the best rest of the year. Happy holidays. Thank you very much.
I'd like to say thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming with me on this wild ride of the election process through debates and more elections and more voting and whatnot. I'd like to say thank you. Thank you so much for for coming along. I thank you for voting. I thank you for supporting, and it's great to see all your smiling faces here today. Even if you are going to vote for Vice President, I don't mind. I'm just glad you were here to make this fun and nice. For presidency is a wonderful game of theatrics in public media, in ads and articles and whatnot. But thank you. You guys have made this great. USA! 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 USA!
You don't like America?
All right, great job, you two.
It's just a skit, guys.